agency has received 83,000 intakes in 2016. And of those we validated or confirmed, 54,000 of those involved individuals who are 65 and older. Because remember, we also investigate people who have a disability. But then of those 54,000, 60% or 33,000 we confirmed or validated abuse, neglect, or exploitation in those situations.
Protective orders in criminal situations often come into play because in a high-level felony or a high seriousness assault case, oftentimes either victims can request for there to be what's called an emergency protective order put in place, or police officers, if they think that the situation is lethal enough, they will request an emergency protective order on behalf of victims. This comes up a lot because sometimes these orders are put in place and the victim may or may not have asked for one, but due to the factors, they could be put in place. Despite that, they usually last less than 90 days. And they typically just require a stay-away order about 200 yards from where the victim lives and works. And sometimes children can be included in that, as well as sometimes they are prohibited from contact whatsoever. Other times they're only prohibited from having threatening or harassing communication communicated to them. Victims can also apply for longer, more permanent protective orders. Those are usually done civilly. And they go from about 2 years up to lifetime. The state has made new provisions actually in this most recent legislative session to expand. Used to, you had to have certain grounds such as, sexual assault or stalking to get a lifetime order. Now, as long as whatever crime occurred that is part of your allegations and your application for getting a protective order, as long as whatever those circumstances were could constitute a felony in the state of Texas, that can potentially get a victim a lifetime protective order. That's important to know. Some of the felonies that you would need to qualify for that sort of lifetime protective order would be stalking, sexual assault, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury, assault, family violence, strangulation, assault, family violence enhanced by a prior conviction. Those are some of the types of things that could qualify someone to apply for a lifetime protective order. When a person violates a protective order, the first thing that you need to make a distinction about is what kind of order it is. If it's an emergency protective order, that means it's attached to a criminal case, which means probably the most first stop concerning violation would be for the judge to revoke the defendant's bond or potentially deny him bond in a future case. If it's a civil order, and most often they're civil orders, they could always be charged with additional crimes. It is a separate crime to violate a protective order in the state of Texas. Typically, that's a Class A misdemeanor, which carries a punishment of up to 1 year in a county jail and a fine of up to $4,000. However, if the person has violated a protective order 2 or more times and they've been convicted of that, that is a third-degree felony. Or if the person violates the protective order by re-assaulting the victim, that could also be a third-degree felony, and those are punishable from 2 to 10 years in prison, up to a $10,000 fine, or sometimes probation if the person is eligible for probation.